earlier that morning. This might be the time to discuss where that watch came from. Let's back up approximately 12 hours to 9:03 a.m. Oscar stood in front of his house, blinking in the yellow sunlight and green shade of his neighborhood, which was called Brook Meadow, even though it had no brook and had no meadow. Jennifer Street, which was his street, quit at the edge of Tuscarora Woods, forming a cul-de-sac in which it was safe to play baseball because cars never drove around it. Oscar balanced a baseball on his batting tee. Overhead, the sun burned the color of a lemon. The sky looked blue enough to drink. The leaves of Tuscarora Woods rustled in the morning breeze. A jay winged overhead, screaming, "Thief! Thief!" for reasons best known to itself. Oscar cocked his bat, narrowed his eyes, imagined he was hitting for the Phillies in the World Series, and swung for all he was worth. Whiff! Oscar opened his eyes. The ball was still perched on the tee like a sparrow atop a maple tree. Just then, Steve Brinkley, that's right, the nearsighted guy who was going to get himself dinged on the elbow in the game a little later, rolled up on his skateboard, glasses glinting in the morning sun. He said, "How'd you miss that?" "I don't know," replied Oscar ruefully. "Even I can hit a ball off a tee," said Steve. "Give me the bat." Steve took the bat, squared up, and swatted the ball. It rose into the morning air, then dropped with a thud against the front door of Oscar's neighbor, Eleanor Ethel Ellington, age 85. Oscar and Steve both held their breaths, but no sign of Miss Ellington. Phew! Miss Ellington was just about the nicest 85-year-old lady you could ever hope to meet, but she still objected to baseballs banging off her house. Oscar fetched the ball and put it back on the tee. "How about if you pretend you're somebody else?" asked Steve. "Somebody who can really hit." "Like who?" asked Oscar. "Hank Aaron?" said Steve. "Okay, I'm Hank Aaron," said Oscar. He swung. He missed. "Maybe you need a more modern example," said Steve. "Try Big Papi, David Ortiz." Oscar imagined he was Big Papi. He whiffed. Wow. "Okay," said Steve. "Try Dottie Kamenchek." "Who?" said Oscar. "Dottie Kamenchek of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League," clarified Steve. 7-time All-Star. She had one of the highest batting averages in history. Some people even wanted her to play in the men's leagues. There's a movie based on her. "Okay," said Oscar. "Fine, Steve. I'll be Dottie Kamenchek. Why not?" This time, the air turbulence from his passing bat blew the ball off the tee. It bounced on the pavement. "That's a little better," said Steve. "How about Babe Ruth?" Oscar said, I don't know. This doesn't seem to be working." "But the Bambino was the greatest hitter of all time," exclaimed Steve. "I know who Babe Ruth is," said Oscar. "It's just, he could be a jerk sometimes." "We're pretending, Oscar," Steve pointed out. "I think it'll be okay for you to be Babe Ruth, even if he was mean once in a while." Dr. Soul, Oscar's orange cat, made his way across the grass and took a seat on the curb to watch. "I'm just going to be Oscar," said Oscar. He eyed the ball. He swung. He made contact. The ball flew 11 feet. Well, it was better than nothing. "Yes!" cried Oscar. "The crowd goes wild. Oscar! Oscar! Oscar Indigo!" His daydream faded. The shouting didn't. "Oscar! Oscar! Oscar Indigo!" Oscar blinked himself back to reality in time to see Steve fleeing down the street on his board faster than the neighborhood speed limit, and Dr. Soul hightailing it for the woods. "Goodness gracious, Oscar," the voice continued. "Pay attention. Be aware of your surroundings. What kind of boy stands around dreaming in the middle of the road? What if the recycling truck came by?" Oscar turned and saw, standing with her hands on her hips, gray hair flying in the morning breeze, his neighbor, Miss Eleanor Ethel Ellington.